That's good.
It works. It works. Hi.
Number one is in fact number one.
Amen.
How about that?
It's.
After the last couple of weeks, boy, it's been a bit of a dry spell.
I'm back home, as you can tell.
Yes.
Came back from London town. Had a jolly old time. Got some stories.
Jolly old time. Did you have fish and chips with you? You almost have to, don't you?
I did not. I had a super hipster. I had for breakfast. It was a slice of toast with like scrambled eggs on top, and then on top of that was like shredded salmon.
Ooh,
and it was amazing.
Do you know what a full English is?
I do. And it was super protein rich, and it cost like $20 or whatever. But
yeah, who cares? So tell me the ingredients of the full English.
Well, you've got your scrambled eggs, you've got your baked beans, you've got your sausage, you've got your bacon, you've got your black pudding. Sometimes there's some white pudding, which is kind of a weird variation on black pudding. And then your toast and jam.
Missed one. One.
Tomato.
You get a 9 out of 10.
Tomato.
Actually, fried tomatoes and fried something or other, and fried bread, and fried potatoes, and to be more specific, a rasher of bacon, which is 6 pieces.
Indeed.
So, well, depends, I suppose, and they can define it any way they want. What it really means is it's an accumulation of slices of bacon, probably without a specific number.
Indeed.
But I read it, and what was striking about it was fried green tomatoes, by the way, not fried regular tomatoes.
Okay.
But when I read it, it was fried egg. It wasn't scrambled egg, but it said like fried egg and fried bread and fried green tomatoes and fried. There was another vegetable that they fried that they served. Potato,
potatoes
fried
and tomatoes, yeah.
Sausages, assorted sausages. I think they might have said muffin rather than toast, or a biscuit rather than toast.
Sure.
And then when it said a rasher of bacon, I went, "Whoa, this is a breakfast menu built for me." Oh man.
No, but like all of those, and like you're like in America, we have the same thing of a big, heavy breakfast, and that was standard for when you're gonna go out and work on the farm for 12 hours. And you needed that level of nutrition. And now that we go and sit at a desk all day, like that level of calories is more than we need.
Right. Well, speaking of that, I'm back to work this week. I'm now in my second week. I keep my journal by days, so I'm in day 8.
Nice.
I believe. And it's interesting how my personal process of comfort with work movement balance as my work day, as you well know and as you've preached. For every hour and a half I work, I've got a half hour of emotion time. And I busy myself for a half hour. And the whole time I'm thinking about what's next.
Yep.
So it's more than just a break, so to speak. I mean, it's a different way to do the work.
Sure.
I get paid for thinking about work. I count it.
Oh, yeah. Like,
I count it. And I don't need to take a note necessarily, although I'm a hopeless, addicted note taker. Note provider. Yeah, at
Your
least
notebook.
general terms. Sometimes an hour and a half meeting has got 6 words on it, but you're looking for stuff to spark my memory, and overarching themes kind of thing. Aggressive tone, difficulty in negotiating, major points, 1, 2, 3, whatever. But
it astonishes me that
so-
that you've never once provided a single note for our conversations.
Why would I? That job's taken. I never.
I'm the one doing all the show notes, which
Of course.
I can't do in real time
That's
because
in the contract.
because I need to be responsive. So I have to listen back and then take a note of all the bullshit that you
read
said.
the fine print in the contract, bitch.
Yeah, well,
That's what you signed up for.
I need my old man glasses to read that.
I got one job. Two
Yeah.
job. Make the call and provide color commentary. That's it. That's it.
Commentaries.
And it's just like my harmonica playing in the band. When I'm done, I put the shit in my bag and I go.
Yes, you are.
I don't have to stick around.
Your commentary is multicolored. like a raincoat.
Sometimes it's very colorful, actually. Oh. St. Joseph's coat or whatever the fuck Dolly Parton sings about.
Indeed.
Joseph's many coat of colors or something.
Yes. There you go.
So, how did you do in your TV viewing homework?
My TV viewing homework,
Gentlemen in Moscow,
revealed to me that you don't understand.
Oh, I did.
Episode numbers, because
well, actually, I'm reminded of an apology, first and foremost, by way of explanation.
yes,
As I sat and checked myself on what you said was a mass grave scene,
Yes.
which I said, no, I didn't see. To which you said, oh, and I said, oh, you think I might have fallen asleep? And you said, oh, yeah, and I thought, well, that's what I did. So I go in and I realize that what I did for your benefit and for the benefit of both of our listeners was I conflated episode 6 and 7 and acted like some of the stuff in 7 was in 6 and then forgot some of the stuff that was in 6.
you're getting the numbers wrong again.
5 and 6.
There-
5 and
there you
6. 5 and
Yes.
6. I conflated 5 and 6 and completely fucked it up.
I had not.
And in fact, the mass grave scene haunted me the night that I watched it.
Yes.
And I still didn't remember it. And you know why? Because I was hearing that through episode 6.
Yes.
And it wasn't there.
And
That was the last one I saw.
and I had not seen episode 6. So
Right. So you're
I was not.
I'm talking about piano playing.
I was nodding along like, yeah, the sonata went on the whole time.
No, your eyes were blinking. You were like, number 1, I'm not sure I follow this. Number 2, I really know for certain I don't care. But I did. And I laughed out loud when I realized what I had done.
Yes.
And I may have even said out loud, I'll have to have a talk with him about this.
Yes. Oh,
It was egregious. It was egregious.
and
And
you
I
were
was so emphatic, I'm sure.
And you were like, he left the hotel, and I was like, really?
what?
I don't remember any of that.
Oh, and talk about a spoiler.
Yeah.
Oh, what a spoiler for 6.
Well,
You didn't.
yeah.
Did you see 6?
I've seen 6 and 7. We're up to date. There's only one left.
Yes, I'm there too, if I have my numbers right.
Yes.
But I'm down to the last episode. I did 2 the other night.
Yes, as did I. So 7, the very latest is the nail-biting espionage, and we have to get out of this fucking country.
That's how it ended.
Yeah, and the
We have to end the madness, I believe, was the exact quote.
well, no, we have to get out of this mad hole. Mad,
We have to leave this madness.
yeah, something like that. Mad
that's
House,
closer.
Mad House, and the title of the final episode is Adieu. So like,
Adieu.
so they're clearly going to Paris.
So, do you predict whether we know what ends up happening to the count, or is it going to be unknown, or is it going to end like our conclusion of
I think
North Country, where
either he
intentionally they didn't want us to.
either he
Either
ends up moving into a suburban house in a suburb of Chicago or something, or they leave it where they're getting on a plane to the States. And
I believe they'll end it with him having a job at the Biltmore in Asheville as the head waiter. It's the head waiter of the restaurant. And as a perk, he lives in the carriage house, the splendorous upstairs rooms
yes,
of the carriage house. And that's where we find him reading a newspaper that the headlines have something to do with fucking, I don't know who it would be at the time. It's 1953 as we ended it. Khrushchev is coming into power. Khrushchev is there for quite a few years. Then after Khrushchev was Gorbachev.
yeah,
This is so.
Yeah.
Khrushchev must have been there for is it a decade?
probably. Yeah, so I'm gonna bet you 1,000 to 1 odds that he doesn't end up in Nashville.
At the Biltmore? It's a good
At the
one though.
Biltmore, yeah.
But they should hire me as a writer.
So, like,
No, an idea, man.
If-
I come in, we do a little brainstorm, a little whiteboarding.
if
a
you're
little
right,
spitballing.
if you're right, I'll pay you $1,000, and if you're wrong, you pay me $1.
Okay. Deal. Jesus. I'll be rich. I may have some influence. They may be able to reshoot it in time
Yeah, that's been long, well shot.
for Friday.
Indeed.
Friday viewing. Well, I also had a long delay in the Sopranos. And I'm now in the final season, and it's gnawing at me what might happen next. But my companion for the Sopranos series up until a couple of weeks ago was Pop Dan, Nikki's dad, and he became unable to follow it and to be able to stay awake long enough to see it. And we not only watched it together, but we talked about it, and he or I would burst out at any episode and say, "Holy shit," or he would say, "Now she's dead too."
Nice.
And it was some really nice common ground for him, and he was always disappointed if I wouldn't watch 2 when he was with it,
Right.
And so most of the time I would, but sometimes I wouldn't. And he would say as I was getting up to leave, "I really would like to see another one. Maybe even some intimation I may not be around tomorrow to see."
Uh-huh.
And anyway, he peacefully passed
Really?
yesterday. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Peacefully.
Yeah, he had a very sudden and quick deterioration, physical, mental deterioration, and we put him just Thursday. Let's see, what's today?
Wednesday.
Today's
15.
Tuesday, and Monday, Sunday morning. We decided to go to take him to
Hospice.
a hospice place, which it was like the choice were no, keep him here and do all the work that's required.
Right.
Yeah.
And
And someone's at end of death. Bring a bed in, and then when the inevitable comes, then you take the next steps and bring people in. And my response was, he doesn't know where he is, and this is about my wife.
Right. It's not about him.
She's got one job: hold his hand.
Yep.
And help him be peaceful.
Yep.
So we were gone in a minute, and it was gorgeous. Oh, light everywhere, bird feeders and birds outside the window, and all hushed.
Wow.
A set aside room for reflection with the Bible and the Torah and all the books. Big great room with a fireplace and a library and just real hushed, beautiful architecture.
Cool.
And so he got settled in there and medicated properly, and my wife was able to sit with him
Nice.
till he passed. And he became, we were so happy for him
Yeah, that's
because he was agitated and uncomfortable and unhappy.
yeah.
And he became happy. And it was meant to be her and him alone, holding hands. And I knew that. And I was so happy to be able to be part of that respectful process. I ended up going back. She called me and I went right there at 10:15 p.m. and sat with the two of them for about 25 minutes until the next stage of prep, had to happen. And we came home and she went to bed and slept for more than 3 hours for the first time in a week.
Wow.
Yeah, and peaceful, and her sister showed up later. She missed the final moment, but is here now for support. In fact, they're at the mortuary now for Mindy to, yeah. So
that's the way to go, man. Like,
well, the
quickly to be okay, and then quickly go.
Well,
Not to
and
slowly.
I'm quick to say though that it was at least if we knew then what we knew now, he would have been there 2 days sooner.
Okay.
But we didn't know what we did now,
Right.
and so we observed, witnessed, and reacted to the deterioration in real time.
Right.
And by the time a professional came, which takes a day,
Right.
I mean, they don't just show up. So we said, we think this is it. And then the next day it was confirmed, and then we made the decision. Mm-hmm. It's not a natural decision-making process unless you've got some instrumentation.
Of course.
We knew his oxygen level was down, but it was really sweet. And each of our children was able to have time with him alone, mm-hmm. and quiet time in this beautiful environment, and say their goodbyes, unlike their grandma who had died from COVID.
Alone and isolated.
No. Their daughters were with her.
Oh, yeah.
Because both her daughters either had COVID or whatever.
Right.
And what didn't happen was in that time frame, and shortly thereafter her passing, and that it took 2 hours for them to come gather her up. So there was about a 3-hour period when she was actively dying or had passed. Mm-hmm. And in that time, it would have been very difficult, but possible, for my children to have seen her
right.
alive if immediate action was taken, which required understanding the rules, probably talking to somebody, and actually thinking about that at all, as opposed to being here and now with her. Instead of, you're here and now with her, and you say, oh, wait a minute, I need to make a call.
Right.
I need to let my kids know. I need to make a call. That stuff just doesn't happen when you're in the emotional moment. It's not a cerebral pragmatic opportunity to do the thinking that goes in with, and the interruption of it, And make a call, look away, and the next you look back and she's gone.
Right.
I mean, it's so I understand all that, but that's not my point. My point is that was disappointing to the kids, of course, and we were assured that this wouldn't happen and didn't happen with Pops.
I don't know. There are pros and cons of having your loved ones see you dying, because
Well, it all depends how it goes.
right.
If it's a movie death, and you're holding hands and there's cognition, and it's like, oh, thank you, I've always loved you,
Right, and then your last breath, and then you close your eyes.
That ain't the way it goes.
Right. So you're literally always at your worst when you're, minutes from death, assuming you're dying of old age on
You're
a
not
bed.
in any better shape than you are the moment you come out of the womb.
That's fucking profound, but yes.
Which is a crying, bloody hunk
useless,
of screaming
gross
human.
Yeah, disgusting.
Well, easy now.
No.
Easy. Yeah, let it get around that, babies who are recently birthed are disgusting.
Well, they're pretty slimy.
No, man. Well, yeah.
They got to be toweled off a little bit.
Use that term.
But yeah. But
It's,
the
less than clean, or less than tidy.
yes, but yeah. So of my loved ones that have died, my grandparents, I'm kind of glad I wasn't there necessarily for their last moment. Like, I'm glad someone was there, or even, I don't know, not even, what they say, you die alone and just like you're born or whatever,
You're not born alone. That's impossible.
that's true. There's always your mother's there.
So you better come up with another catchy wives' tale saying.
No, but
that advances this episode.
but
Or make one up.
yeah,
You know what they say.
yes, you know what they say.
There's two of you when you're born. There's only maybe one or
A rooster
more
never
when you
crows
die.
3 times on a Sunday. Yeah.
A rooster crowing in the morning is different than one crowing at night.
Well, you'd rather a rooster crow in the morning than an owl. No, never mind.
You can tell how your day is going to go by the waggle of the rooster when he crows.
There you go. Well, I'm.
You know what they say. Let's come up with some more.
Let's see.
T-shirts.
Let's see.
T-shirts. On the front, right?
Yes.
Big enough letters to read it. You know what they say, ... Then on the back, we make up these sayings. This may be my first real moneymaker, huh?
Well, I mean, if it depends on how good our sayings are.
Well, look at the first 2 or 3. Fucking great.
Yes.
Hilarious.
Let's see.
I mean, we're both rolling on the floor, or, at least slightly amused. How amused you have to be to feel like the T-shirt was worth it. A smirk
Right.
would be okay. And a smirk, is a lot different than anything else.
Right.
Can mean a lot of different things.
I
They don't need to laugh out loud. They don't... Whoa, shit. They don't know an LOL.
careful with the mic.
Oh, Jesus, what have I done?
Let's see. A gerbil has never bowled a strike.
What?
If you think about it, a gerbil has
What did you
never
say?
bowled a strike.
That's good. That's good.
Because if you're not capable of what you're trying to do, then you won't succeed.
A gerbil has never bowled a strike.
Which is,
But we're left to surmise that a gerbil has in fact knocked some pins down. Right?
but I mean, potentially.
That implies that, of course,
gerbil-
because otherwise you wouldn't. There would be nothing to compare it to.
Right?
It'd be in a vacuum. It would be a vacuum. So the question becomes for me:
How many pins
What?
could a gerbil knock down? If a
gerbil
could knock down pins.
knock down pins. How much pins could a gerbil knock down if a gerbil could knock down pins?
That's the important question for the evening.
How many times could a toad? How many times could a hop toad spin? If a hop toad can spin at all, that's the second part of that. This is what's on the T-shirt. On the front says, you know what they say, and the back says, how many pins could a gerbil knock down if a gerbil could knock down pins? That's what they say.
Exactly.
That's a good one. And how many times can a hop toad spin if a hop toad can be spun? If a hop toad could really spin. If a hop toad.
What's a hop toad?
What's a hop toad?
I mean, it's a toad that hops.
It's just a toad that hops.
Okay. Good.
Remember the hop toad in Wherefore Art Thou?
I do not. Brother, where art thou, or whatever?
Brother, where art thou? Yes. Not
brother.
Where art thou? I think that's Shakespeare.
Wherefore art thou, brother Toad?
That Shakespeare is interpreted by Oprah Winfrey. Who knows? It's not the color purple. It's the color green. Beautiful weather here, man. We had tornadoes came through. Will be you can see that online very readily, but just a couple miles from here there were touchdowns that completely destroyed buildings and ripped up some of the biggest trees in town, leveled an entire path of devastation less than a mile from my daughter's house.
Yikes.
Just a couple miles from here. Besides that, weather's been ideal.
Did you see the Northern Lights?
No, I read about them and thought it would be nice if I was able to stay awake until it was dark.
Maybe one of the 7 times you get up to pee at night, old man. Look out the window.
That's a quick stumble to and fro. That's the goal there is to keep the eyes closed so the waking doesn't occur.
Oh, that's true. I'm with you there.
Don't quote me, but I don't want to be woke.
Don't want to be woke when you're going for a
news.
piss.
We got news from the news desk.
Yes. What news desk?
So the Biden
Yes.
filmed a beautiful little spot that said, "Let me tell you this. Donald Trump doesn't want to debate. The last 2 times I debated him, he lost. He hasn't debated anybody since. Come on, pal, make my day. I will debate you twice. 1 in June, 1 in 1. I've got conditions. Make my day, pal."
Punk.
Very, very, very good.
Punk.
And Trump, it took him hours to respond. And he surprisingly said, "I agree." Because one of the conditions, 1, no audience, 2 candidates, and a moderator. Rule number 2, the mic can be cut off if the person speaking breaks any of the rules. Those are the conditions. Trump agreed.
Wow. Because as far as a conversation, debate, winning points with the public, Trump can just trash Biden. Like he doesn't make good points, but he can shit talk better than anyone.
Well, yeah, but one of the rules, which is about the mic, is you have to answer the question. And if you're not answering the question, we direct, and you continue not to answer the question, we're going to cut off your mic.
How bad has discourse gotten that we have to have these rules?
No, it's not about discourse. It's about Donald Trump. There isn't anybody else who does it.
Well,
of course,
politicians.
he has. Well, some politicians
I've
are
seen
mimicking
debates.
him to a certain extent.
No.
You've
But politicians never answer the question.
oh yeah, right.
Like,
Well,
if that were the rule, then all
they
debates would
answer
be
a
silent.
question.
Right.
They answer a question, but it's the question they wanted to answer,
Right.
not the one that was asked.
Exactly.
But this is my prediction. Number one, the debates will not happen
Okay.
because Trump wants to end the discussion now by saying, fine, I'm in. And then they go back and forth, and the news is not A, Trump doesn't respond, or B, worse, Trump says no, or B, 3C, Trump's campaign confuses
B3C.
to respond. No, they took an immediate step. They changed the news cycle. Now the news is as much about Trump as it is about Biden. For a moment, it was just about Biden. He had the upper hand. And the fact of the matter is, they don't mean it. There's no reason to believe that what they say is that they're going to happen is going to happen because they lie about everything.
Right.
And it doesn't matter. They probably have a strategy 1, 2, 3, 4 on how to make sure the debates don't happen. You know what number one is? Agree to the debates.
Sure.
That's one of the 5 steps in the process. His people came up with that overnight, of course.
Right.
Or not overnight, because they came up with it in the span of a morning, this morning.
Within hours.
So that's pretty late news. And one of the things Biden said in this tape, which you really got to look at, was he said any time, any place, and he's making a joke because the trial that he's actively engaged in recesses every Wednesday. And not everybody knows that, of course, but Biden knows. And one of the things he says is, I'll do it anytime, any place. I hear you're free on Wednesdays.
Nice.
It's fucking great.
Yeah. That's a sick burn.
It's taunting.
Yeah.
It's fast. It's fast paced. It's it's very very well staged. The other news is that you'll not see again a television image of Joe Biden walking across the South Lawn to helicopter or plane. Instead,
Why's
you
that?
will see him surrounded by staff so that his stiff and aged gait is less noticeable.
So they're just going to surround him and
Their legs will be in the way of shots of his legs. And they'll walk his pace, and he'll look like he's just as spry as they are. And it's what's smart about it is they're doing it. What's really, really stupid about it is they let us know.
Yep. Oops.
A leak. Reportedly, from now on, a leak. A rich, juicy leak.
Yep. Which of course the right was going to just run with forever. That's nice.
So we're going. Oh, I'm sorry. So that's.
I have a,
Let me just.
I have a London story at some point.
Okay. Let me see on else the news front. Big news.
Yeah,
Big news.
big news.
But when big news, I wouldn't be covered. I only cover big news. Michael Cohen, star witness for the prosecution in the trial of Donald Trump, has testified for the past 2 days.
Yep.
Gave a solid performance, never meandered, never lost his famous temper. Didn't give any responses that could be used in appeal, and became prepared for cross-examination. And the defense ended their brief cross-examination with people saying, is that all they have? They're done already?
Yep.
Wow. They must be counting on a mistrial based on Stormy Daniels' testimony, which I covered last episode.
You did. Yes.
They must be thinking that's the way. Don't even bother with thinking with the evidence provided you're going to get anything other than a guilty plea. You are already working toward appeal. Less is more if you're working toward appeal and you've got a solid case. You don't want to fuck up an appeal by then you saying something that counters or counterbalances to some degree
Right.
what the prosecution did. On the one hand, the prosecution did this, but on the other hand, the defense did this. So all in all, it's a wash.
You just
Stop.
yep.
Stormy dead. That's what they're counting on. And you know how long that'll take? 2 years. Under your theory, Donald Trump will have been the president for a year
Yep.
and can't be tried. Although the Congress could impeach him for it.
But as we've seen, impeaching does nothing really.
Well, it all depends on which parties, if the same party's controlling both chambers. Very, very unusual in this United States of America, but stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
So the other thing is, this was interesting. I think you should know this.
Tell me.
Is that in a speech, Donald Trump, without any real notes as usual, was starting to go in the direction of comparing immigrants to despicable people, like Hannibal Lecter, for example.
Right.
And during the soliloquy, he seemingly lost track of where he was going with that, and instead said, "Oh, Hannibal Lecter, you know him. You know him. He used to invite his friends over for dinner. And what a man, what a great man."
This was weeks ago, though, right?
No,
Hannibal Lecter?
within the last 3 days.
Okay, because he mentioned Hannibal Lecter before.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if he did. He's got a limited fucking brain capacity.
Interesting.
Well, I don't know that's kind of frightening. Otherwise, the polls keep coming in and showing that Donald Trump is ahead in 5 of 6 swing states that are required to win. And
Yep.
even though Biden's encroaching, he is losing Black, Latino, and young voters every day. And those likely voters can no longer remember much about January 6th, and they put it as about their 5th issue of interest, putting the economy number one. And one thing they remember is that when Donald Trump was president, before COVID, they were making more money. That's what they remember
not
now.
What the president does. Jesus Christ, voters.
Doesn't matter. Facts don't matter.
I
Only
know.
opinion matters.
No, emotion
it isn't,
matters.
It isn't. It's and here. Remember the analogy of the herd of deer,
Yes, you like this one.
and the one deer in a herd
Yep.
breaks because of something that happened.
A twig snapped.
That
Yep.
event.
Yep.
That event is only in an election, making the extrapolation an election. There's only one thing that's different about the deer pack and how an election ends up, and that is that in an election, that happens every time right at the last minute. You always know
Right.
it's going to happen. A deer pack, it may not happen for days and weeks. It probably frequently happens.
I think it's a herd.
But there's no
It's not a deer pack. It's not a
there's no time.
political action committee.
It's a rasher of deer.
Acting rashly.
A rasher of deer acting rashly
Irrationally.
ended up with gouges that looked rather nasty. They said with a grin as they wiped off their chin, "If I were a bear, I'd rather be grizzly."
Good, good. I was thinking you could rhyme it with Salman Rushdie somehow, but it's fine.
All right. and not to quote the great Salmon
Anywho, I would. So my trip to London went well. I gave my little presentation that I bored you with the title of, and it was happily received by the.
It was worse than boredom, bro. It put me to immediate sleep. It was like a potion.
It was the developer experience of the command line interface.
And I'll tell you this about the command line interface. It pisses me off sometimes.
It does.
It pisses me off. You know why?
That's why we need to improve
because
the experience.
Sometimes it becomes unpredictable. It becomes unpredictable
Yes.
based on usually a lack of skill and experience that it takes to reduce the likelihood of a fuck up.
That's why I'm intending to improve the experience of the command line interface, because the command line interface sucks normally. Anyway.
What I found is that one of the best ways to improve this
Yes.
is to hum a mantra
Yes.
that sort of like goes, hum, as you're typing in your...
Yep. That's what I do.
Speed it up.
Okay.
Ba ba ba.
Well done.
Ba ba ba. Ba ba ba. Ba ba ba. Whoa. Ba ba ba. Ba 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 ba.
So, on my last evening, so I was there for 2 full days at an office, just talking and really cerebral thinking.
Whiteboarding, spitballing.
There was so much
brainstorming.
whiteboarding, yes, and that is just exhausting. Like my normal day, I'm not up at that high level of thought for very long, as you might imagine, but
or ever.
So that
or ever I might quickly add, just so that our audience doesn't press the incredibility button, which hurts our ratings.
that was exhausting. And on the first evening, I didn't talk to you about that because we met before I did any of this.
It had happened yet.
Yes. So on the first evening, I went out with my soon-to-be colleagues.
All of them?
There were 7 of us went out, and
instead of the 9 who were at the meeting.
Yeah, and we went out to a restaurant that. They take no reservations, and
of course,
and they there is no menu. They only make one thing. And so we waited in this line, in this queue, as they call them in Britain, for like 45 minutes to get in. We were outside for a while, and then we got in, and when they gave us a table.
Did you have to wait in line, or could you get a drink?
No. Just waiting in line. And when they finally seated us, they gave us what they give everyone, which is a tiny little salad with just lettuce and some dressing. And then they ask you, there's one question you can answer. Do you want your meat medium, rare, or blue? Are you familiar with blue? We don't use that in America. Blue is like rarer than rare in England.
The only thing rarer than rare is raw.
Yeah. So
blue means raw.
Yeah.
Is cooked at all?
I'll minimally.
So a split.
I guess. So
seared.
And that was all we got to say.
What was the meat?
And it was steak, beef steak, prepared a big chunk of it, and then thinly sliced with a lovely spicy sauce on it, and then a big plate of. On the same plate is a big pile of French fries, or chips as they call them there. And
how were the chips?
They were very McDonald's style, like very thin and well fried, and salty.
Well, that's
And-
good. I like that. I like what do they call string
Yeah.
fries.
And
Or-
so that was what they gave you, and then they came back and they gave you a refill on your plate with more meat and more potatoes.
What?
So you got two. They're pretty small plates, but 2 plates of meat and potatoes, and that was all they serve at this restaurant. Like all the other tables
much?
were getting the same thing.
Sure. What a great idea. How much?
It was with a bottle of wine for all of us. It was $50 a person. So
Deal. And drinks more, or including.
that was including
That's what you paid.
including a bottle of wine.
So that's what you paid.
Yeah.
Yeah, as opposed to like the dinner was 35 and the drinks were 15 or whatever.
Yeah. So
That's a deal, man.
it was kind of wild.
What a deal.
And just a bizarre, like, imagine being so good at one thing that you just like, we're gonna make a restaurant and we're gonna just do the one fucking thing.
That's like me. You know what my thing is?
I'm still trying to figure it out.
I just opened a bottle of beer, fucker. That's my skill.
That's your thing? Cool.
I do that better than anybody I know.
Well,
Anybody I care about, let me put it that way.
nice.
So that sounds great, man. I'm glad you did that because your first dining experience that you discussed last
Yeah.
episode was not good.
That was not so good, and I sent you some photos of that. And then on the second day, after we finished, I went and met up with a friend of mine who is like, it's crazy that I can call him a friend because like he was really high up in Facebook for a while and is just really respected in the community as a thought leader, and the fact that he's willing to have a beer with me is pretty cool. But we went out for pho, which is always interesting and fun to say.
What's it?
Vietnamese soup, pho, Pho.
How do you pronounce it?
Pho.
Pho?
Yeah.
Not pho?
No, it's pho.
I've always pronounced it pho.
Yeah,
Pho.
yeah, I think so.
So is there a college or a school where they teach that called pho?
Yes. No, and all those jokes have been made.
They have?
Yes.
No, you can't prove that.
But that was cool. Like, I love this guy. He's fun to hang out with. And then after I left him and I went back to my hotel, I got into the neighborhood of my hotel. It was like 10:55 something, and I thought, I'm gonna go to the pub across the street from the hotel. Stop here.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's such a habit. I apologize.
And I said, I'm gonna go across the street and have one last pint to say goodbye to jolly old England.
Good for you. That's my man.
Right.
I should have been there with you, you know?
And so I went into the pub and I was like, man, I really gotta pee. So I went to the loo, and I came out and it was 11 o'clock exactly. And I went up to the bar and they were like, nope, at 11 we don't serve anymore.
And wouldn't give you a beer.
No.
Right on the money.
The place was packed full of people drinking beer, but they at 11 o'clock, 11:00, they stopped serving.
Was it true 11:00 bars in America are all, set 10 minutes?
No.
Fast.
It really was. Like, when I walked in there to go to the bathroom, it was 10:58, and I was like, I could.
And you went to the
And I
bathroom
went to the-
first. That was your mistake.
Yes, exactly.
You let your dick make your decision for you again.
My bladder was
Your bladder was close enough.
my bladder was a chatter, and so, but they said, but you can go outside and go down the stairs to our like cocktail bar, that's still open, and I was like, well, okay, so. I took my backpack back to my room at the hotel, and I went back across the street.
You didn't go to the cocktail
No,
bar?
I went back to the hotel to drop off my backpack that I still had on me.
Oh.
And then I went back to the cocktail bar. And
and you got your beer.
I went in there, and they had beer and spirits. And so I was like, I'm going to order Guinness. You don't get a draft Guinness very often. It's in Spain for damn sure. And so I got a Guinness, and I went and with a Guinness, it takes a while to pour. Like you got to pour it and then wait a little bit and then pour it. And so
Quite familiar with that.
And so I ordered it and I paid for it, and then they were like, "Go find a seat and we'll bring it to you." And I was like, "Cool." So I went and I found a seat in some dark corner somewhere because it was very dark. And
Well, good for the people there that you were in a dark corner. Otherwise, they would have had to witness your continence.
indeed, so I was.
Did you have a hoodie on that you could have pulled down low?
No. I was.
You should have. Man. You're American.
I was in full on display, and so they brought me a beer, and I sat there for a while, fucking around on my phone as one does. And meanwhile, there was
No, as you do. It's But I'll tell you
as
what.
all the people.
Everybody, everywhere.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. That's the natural.
Everybody, everywhere, all the time. So what are you drinking there, buddy?
It's my normal beer, but
Well,
it's a Mao.
forgive
It's
the
a
opportunity
Mao.
for a plug.
It's the one that I normally have. But hold on, let me continue with my story. So,
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
so there's
There you
there
were.
were a couple people
Drinking your beer at
no,
the
there was a
table
couple
in
people
dark
at another
corner.
table, and there was this one guy that was super loud and talking about how when he was in Thailand and he was just there for like hooking up with the girls and blah 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 and just being really noisy and loud, and it
So you joined him?
no, it was just
You joined their
it was just
table?
eye-rollingly wow, okay, and
And you're like, I'm going to drink this beer and I'm out of here.
right. So then they left, and
Oh, that's good.
and I was sitting there. I noticed this woman in the corner, this very attractive woman sitting by herself, and I've never ever have I been the sort of person to just go up to someone and start talking to them, like especially if it's a pretty girl. Holy shit, like extra,
Yeah.
because that just
Well,
seems
smart on your behalf, given both your ability to speak clearly and, as we said earlier, your continence.
Yes.
Go ahead.
no, but like I don't know, it just seems creepy. Like I always just just assume that a pretty woman has better things to do than talk to me.
Well, that's a pretty good assumption,
Right?
too. In fact, I think we could call that a truism. We can move.
Indeed.
We can move up the scale, bypass all the other potential speed bumps along the way, and go from assumption to factoid.
Right, exactly. And as I've gotten older, I'm less intimidated by attractive people like
That kind of thing.
whatever.
Yeah. Right.
And so anyway, I was getting close to leaving, and for some reason, I said to her something like, "Boy, I'm glad these assholes left," or whatever. The guy that was being super noisy and crazy.
You didn't say assholes.
I didn't say.
so that would've
Boy,
been
I'm
impolite. Hooligans.
it's nice.
Ruffians.
It's nice here now that those guys left, and she like, yes, exactly. Although they were very entertaining to sit here and listen to, and and
fascinating banter between the two.
Exactly. And but she immediately was like, so where are you from? What are you doing here? And I was like, well, I'm from the States, but I live in Spain. And I asked the same of her, and she said, well, I came here from Nashville, and I'm here to record an album at Abbey Road Studios. And I was like, excuse me, what? And she was like, yeah, I'm a musician, and I'm here to record an album, but if at the last minute the technician got sick or got busy or something, and so it's sort of canceled. But I already had my tickets and my hotel and stuff, so I decided to just come to London and hang out and, write and write songs and
fascinating.
And I was like, wow, what? That's not the kind of thing you normally hear, but just some random person at a bar. And then I said, okay, so like, give me your name, and like I'm curious who you are as an artist. And I don't know if you.
Oh, and it's the woman.
I don't know if you did your homework.
It's the woman whose tape you sent me.
Yes,
I did. Now it's coming together. And my first impression was, oh my God, she's going to shred it. I just had time for a glimpse. I didn't go all the way through, but I saw from your message to at least look at it. And of course now I'll double down. But and I was also particularly impressed with her presentation. There was this great kind of punky, I don't give a fuck kind of attitude about where she was headed.
So,
and you knew that it was going to be just dead center in the fucking middle of that fucking guitar that she was strapped into.
So anyway,
that's great, man.
She's a fucking blues rock goddess from Nashville that hasn't made it huge yet. Like, but she fucking rocks.
Well, you want to do something fun and think about moving on to another part of this. Put me in contact with her,
right,
and I will book her in Kalamazoo with Johnny Bergen as one of her partners. You know Johnny Bergen,
yeah.
blues man. I'll try to make something happen.
She's got a tour schedule already, but
sure, but she doesn't have one 2 years from now.
Right, exactly.
She's got one. She's just starting to put together 2025.
But
now, because she's busy. But yeah.
But anyway, what a crazy fucking meeting, and I was like, okay, well, I said we need to take a selfie so that when you become
famous. So how was she dressed? Did she look like the punky guitar player she is, or
not
just more
really,
like
just a
nonchalant, casual?
Like, I guess she had on a leather jacket, but like it was dark. I wasn't really judging.
Yeah.
And just a crazy, like when you think, where do famous people in London go? You say, well, Abbey Road, and it was like, well, wow, what a fucking answer. Like, what are you doing in London? Well, I'm here to record at Abbey Road Studios. He's like, well, Jesus.
I'll tell you, I'm going to give you the Best Story of the Night award as we consider the fact that in 4 minutes, my reservation downtown Greek restaurant begins.
Okay.
And this episode lasts exactly 1 hour and 3 minutes.
Well, minus the shit I have to cut out where you got all racist and stuff, but yeah, it's cool.
Oh, that's nice to have on the record. I hope you cut that out. You'll be fucking quoted now, you fucking moron. Jesus Christ.
Okay, that's it for episode number 219. You can find the show notes at happyhour.fm/219. I really encourage you to go there and check out some of the music videos by this lady called Leilani Kilgore. She's pretty amazing. You can help support the show at patreon.com/happyhour. We would really appreciate that. And that's all I've got to say. See you next week.